Welcome to the Week 5 NFL YouTube podcast for wisetake.com. I'm your host, Patio Joe. I'm joined here tonight by 3 guests. 2 of them you guys know. First one, Paulie D. Follow him on Twitter at Paulie with the 8 Ds. Then, of course, we got Slim Gady. You can follow him at the real Slim Gady. You can follow me at Patio Joe Ref. But we're joined here tonight by a very special guest from the FantasyCPR network, as we call it. We had Brian Tulloch on for baseball, but now it's football season, and we got his man, Matt Rogers. You can follow him on Twitter at Matty McMatt17. Say what's up, Matt. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about like what you like, what you're into, football, stuff like that. Say hello to the White Steak Nation.
Cool. So thanks for having me, first of all. I really appreciate it. Like you said, I'm writing over at FantasyCPR. Labeled an expert. I hate that label, but that's what we are, Brian and I and Mike Martinet. We've got a boatload of writers on that site. We write about a lot of different things. I focus on football, hockey, and baseball. Brian Tulloch's one of our NBA experts, along with baseball. He writes some football too, and we've even got guys who cover EPL. So if you guys love the English Premier League, we've got some good stuff over there too. We write about all kinds of fantasy, but we focus on DFS. DFS is a hell of a lot more fun, in my opinion. So that's really what we narrowed down. And then I live in the DC area right now. I'm from the Philly area, so that's why I'm an Eagles. What was I just going to say? Oh, Flyers and Sixers fan. Sorry, I was thinking about the fact that I switched over to being a Nats fan and I got upset again. But those are my 4 teams. And I try not to focus on them too much when I'm writing, but I do love them, and I love these sports. So thanks for having me on. I love talking about this stuff.
Well, we like having you, and believe it or not, I am a Charger fan, and I was actually in Los Angeles on Sunday, and I was a part of the 30% Charger fans opposed to the 70% Eagles fans. And I've had season tickets to Chargers for years back when they were down in San Diego, and they've always been a big contingent of opposing fans there. But I must say, on Sunday, it was the biggest fan base from opposing fans I've ever been to. The place was rocking. You could tell, like, if you were walking into the bathroom, anytime there's a cheer, it was the Eagles did something. It wasn't the Chargers. So it's kind of hard being a Charger fan right now. But you do what you do, and if they win, they're a good team. They never get blown out. They always seem to be in there at the end. So at least they're competitive. But
how far is it from San Diego to Los Angeles? It's
less than 2 hours if there's no traffic.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
so like those fans just aren't coming up. The San Diego fan, like they're bitter, they're butthurt. They're like, you left us and you're dead to me now, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's just a jilted ex-girlfriend kind of thing, I think, and it's a tough situation because they're not winning. And if you think about it, like they could be at least 3-1 with any little luck. You know what I'm saying? They just find ways to lose instead of finding ways to win.
Yeah.
So
Does
but
the stadium have anything to do with that? Why people aren't going?
I don't know. The stadium's really nice. It was a good atmosphere outside. There's a ton of food options. There's a ton of you could go in the stadium and you can watch every game that was on the morning game. So we could sit and watch while we're waiting for the other. Every single game was like a bar atmosphere outside. I mean, inside the stadium, but outside, obviously, where all the concessions were. So it's just, I think it's the fact of the city of LA did not want them, and they didn't want 2 teams especially. And then you have a big Raider contingent in LA, and everybody's a Raider fan. And so you take the Raiders and the Rams, and the Charger fans are there, but when you're not winning, and then you go there and there's like 30% Charger fans, like, why do I really want to go? I'm not going to go to the Raider game. Are you kidding me? I ain't that. I want to live. But so, but I wanted to, before we get started, we're going to go about it. Don't worry, I hate the Raiders too, Gorilla Juice. I wanted to talk a little more about week 4 because it was a very tilting week from the fact of I made a big mistake of literally, I think about, I don't know, 9:45, we get the news of Sean Lee being out, and I take all of my Zeke shares and I move to Gurley, and then in cash I move to Dalvin Cook. So then Dalvin Cook gets hurt and Gurley goes off, so I don't wind up cashing. I was a little bit pissed off at that. How did your guys' week 4s go? Because I know it was kind of tilting for me. I didn't have any Watson, no Bell. So, Paulie, let's start off with you, then we'll go to Matt and then Jason.
Yeah, no, I mean, my week was so-so. I kind of broke even. I won money on DraftKings, lost on FanDuel, like basically like a complete 0-for-0 pass out. Switching Zeke to Gurley was a good move, but the Dalvin Cook thing kind of burned you. And I went 100% Gurley. That went well, but where I really missed was on Watson. I thought he was going to struggle versus the blitz of the Titans. I had a lot of Titans D because I knew Watson was going to be popular on DraftKings because of his price. I thought it was a good way to leverage against the field. And then 57 points later, and Watson putting up one of the best scores of the season. That really hurt, getting a 0 from my defense across the board. And I played a bunch of like Des Bryant, which didn't really pay off. AJ Green, although he got a touchdown, he only had 18 points because they were in the lead, so game script went against him there. And then that was where I was going to end. I just had too much exposure to the Falcons-Buffalo game. And, I don't know if it was the wrong process that got us there, but the injuries to the Falcon receivers definitely changed that game script. And, and I had a ton of Julio, and when he got hurt and left the game with 4 points, that really hurt. So, I ended up navigating some of those minefields, but there was just too many that ended up catching up, and having no Watson and the Tennessee D just ended up being the demise.
Yeah. Matt, how'd you do?
First of all, if anybody claims they had Watson in FanDuel, I think they're lying. But
oh yeah,
I don't know. If you had him, that was smart. But I don't see how you had evidence to, pick him. It was just luck. But no, he does look good. Week 4 was honestly one of my worst weeks. Week 1 was my best week, which is odd. You think you'd learn more as you go.
Yeah.
I had too many good combinations at running back, but then terrible combinations passing and receiving, or I had Gurley and Blunt in one. I had Bell and Blunt in another, but then my receivers sucked. I had Simeon at quarterback. I was way too high on him. I had Gurley, Fournette, and Rashard Matthews. That was a decent lineup, and I had Benjamin too. That wasn't that bad. That's the only time I cashed. But yeah, it wasn't really that good of a week for me.
Jason, didn't you did well in cash, didn't you, Jason?
Yeah, this is my best week. Kind of pissed off about DraftKings all season so far. Mm-hmm. So I didn't do a whole lot on there. I went a bunch of cash on FanDuel, and I just usually play one line. So I had
now you got to do it.
I went with Dak, Gurley, and Zeke, so that was 91 points. And then I had AJ and Fitz. So I was going to cash before the afternoon games even started. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty cool. On DraftKings, I didn't even want to mess around with it. So I just had I just made one line just for tournaments. And I stacked San Diego minus Gordon because of the injury. So I had Rivers, Keenan Allen, and Terrell Williams. I had Gurley in that line. I had Bilal Powell in that line. So
you did well.
185 on that. And I threw that together in 3 minutes, man. So
doesn't it always happen that way? Sometimes your best lineups are the ones that you make
yes.
So paralysis by analysis, I swear.
It's it, man.
I think in football that happens more than any other one of the sports. Basketball, hockey, baseball. We got to get going. We got tomorrow's slate. Who's not looking at it? But anyways, let's get into this slate. We got 4 games we're gonna go over, and we're gonna go to, and then we'll answer some questions in the chat if anybody has any individual players you want to talk about. I want to say hello to everybody in the chat right now. We see Fuego in the chat. Audie, you're in the chat. Gorilla, hello. Wisco, you're in. What up, Wisco? And of course, Jeff. And I think Cam is in there somewhere. Cam, say hello, please. Cam, if you're there, please. And of course, we have our man CK in the back that's just sitting back. Hopefully, he's got his hair down now and he's playing some, sweet sounds of Chad Cool and Songbird. And you can sit and he's listen to us. And the first game we're going to talk about is obviously one for me and Paulie. First game is the Los Angeles Chargers traveling to New York to face the New York Giants. And I got to say this, I don't think the Chargers are going to have a hard time dealing with the noise. They've been dealing with it at home the last 3 weeks. So I don't think the home field advantage, I don't know if that's going to mean anything. Chargers are used to it being on the road. They have been for the first 4 weeks. So, Paulie, what do you got on this game?
Yeah, I don't know if the noise will be a factor, but West Coast team traveling across the country for a 1 o'clock's usually not a good thing. So we'll see if that impacts them. The line has moved in a tad in the San Diego favor. It opened at 4. It's into 3.5. I'm probably, I would assume the thing will settle around 3, as most spreads do in that range. Over-under is ticked up just a tad, opened at 44, went out to 44.5. So it'll be interesting. San Diego, I think they have a good defense. It hasn't really shown this year just yet. But they definitely have good corners, and the Giants pass the most of anyone in the NFL. They're also one of the fastest-paced teams in the NFL. So I think this game could be one of the higher-scoring games on the slate if either team jumps out to like a 7 or 10-point lead, and then the other team is forced to kind of, keep trailing from behind. We could just see both quarterbacks throw 40 to 50 times here, the clock not move, and a lot of points. So it's a game I have a lot of interest in. On the Chargers side, I think I'm going to have some ownership to Tyrell Williams. We'll see if we hear if Janoris Jenkins is going to shadow Keenan Allen or not. If he is, then I'd, boost my likings for Williams and the tight ends. And if he's not, then, maybe like 50-50s, half Allen, half Tyrell Williams. And you could sneak in some Travis Benjamin, too, if you want to get really wild. And then on the Giants side, I'm pretty sure they're going to shadow Odell. So I'm going to be looking at the other receivers here. I think Brandon Marshall finally gets going. He's been getting a lot of targets. And I think this is a spot where he may find himself getting 1 or 2 touchdowns. And, Ingram, the tight end, he's been developing. I think he's in a decent spot. We saw Zach Ertz have a decent game last week against the Chargers, and the Giants seem to be targeting him a lot. So it's the pass catchers and maybe Eli Manning I would possibly use on FanDuel. I like his low price. So this is definitely a game I have a lot of interest in. We'll see how the lines move throughout the week, but definitely one because of how much passing could go on here that I'll be involved in.
All right, good. Matt, what you got?
I mean, there's got to be a lot of passing because the Giants' run game is freaking terrible.
Yeah, real bad.
They have 237 yards in 4 games. They're averaging 3.2 per carry. Perkins is averaging 1.9 per carry. I mean, why even give him the ball? It's ridiculous. They've got 1 run for over 20 yards. They got 1 rushing touchdown. I mean, they're
Eli.
1 rushing touchdown. Eli, yeah, exactly. It's terrible.
Yep.
They have to throw the ball. You already hit on it, though. The Chargers, they've got some good D-backs. Their pass defense isn't that bad. Their run defense isn't as good, but they're not going to have to worry about that. So they're probably going to focus a lot on Beckham. It's going to be interesting to see if Sterling Sharp can maybe tear it up a little bit from the slot.
Yeah.
You're right. Marshall could probably get the ball. I was just looking at targets right now. I mean, Evan Ingram, who's a rookie tight end, is tied with Marshall for second, 30 targets, 3 under Beckham. He's going to get the ball a lot. That's definitely a good call. On the Chargers side, I don't know. I was looking at the Giants' defense all day today, and they weren't as good as I was expecting them to be statistically wise. I was thinking, their D-backs are good, but they're not stopping the pass. I mean, they haven't been really stopping the pass against anybody. And they're definitely not stopping the run, although part of that is that they're getting, scored up and then, every team's just running on them after that. But for that reason, I mean, this could be a high-scoring game, but for that reason, say San Diego blows the door open, Gordon starts getting the ball a lot, he could be a good play. And I know a lot of people are probably starting to sleep on Gordon. This might be the day that he wakes up and, finally earns that top 2-tier draft that everybody had him in over the beginning of the season. I like them. I mentioned I like Shepard. I definitely like Tyrell Williams after what he did against the Eagles. That one hurt me. And yeah, I like Keenan Allen. I think he's got a good shot at having a good day. And he's kind of expensive, but he's a target machine, so I'm willing to pay for that.
All right, Jason.
Yeah, from the Giants side, I wondered even after week 1, like, why didn't they go try to trade for Adrian Peterson, man? Come on. How awesome would that have been? My top plays there for the Giants, I like Ingram a lot. The tight ends are killing the Chargers. Like you said, he had 30 targets, so I like that a lot. Odell looks pretty good also. The Giants defense, like you were saying, Matt, I mean, they look pretty bad on paper.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It seems like maybe they're better than that when you watch the game, but on paper, you got all kinds of targets here on the side. Wide receiver 2 destroys them. I mean, obviously that's not the guy that Jenkins is normally guarding. So again, Tyrell Williams looks really good. He's priced up this week, but deservedly so. I mean, even Rivers technically looks good. I wouldn't touch him, but Melvin Gordon's an interesting one for me because, I mean, when's he going to be the guy that we think he's going to be? How hurt is he right now? I was off of him last week. I was off of him last week just because I was worried. They were saying that they were going to monitor his knee. Well, what the hell does that mean? So I don't know how you could play him in any kind of a cash scenario. There's a ton of tournament value here for me in this game.
Yeah.
As far as cash, I don't know where I would go there for cash games. But tournaments, yeah, I'm all over this game.
All right. So, guys, here I go. The Giants can't cover the tight end at all. Let's look back on their schedule. Both O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate both scored last week. Eric Ebron. You could play them both. Eric Ebron. I would say if I was leaning to one this week, Hunter Henry. He's the guy I'd want more than Gates. Gates, he cannot get much separation anymore. He might get a touchdown, but Henry's the one that will get the targets and continually get the targets on Sunday. What I see happening is I see Casey Hayward shadowing Odell. That makes him a GPP play for me. And then I see these DNs from the Chargers, Bosa and Melvin Ingram, rushing Eli all week, all night. And if they can get to Eli, the Chargers will win the game. That's my thing. Is I don't think they'll be able to run the ball at all. But if you look at it, if you look at these teams, I think the Giants are going to try and run the ball against the Chargers. Last week, Wendell Smallwood, Blunt ran all over the Chargers. Week before, Hunt ran all over the Chargers. Then Jay Ajayi, who can't run on anybody right now, ran all over the Chargers before. So I don't know who you would pick, but just breaking down the game, I think the Giants are going to try and run the ball. So because everybody's ran it against the Chargers. That's my thing. And I'm not really into much of Eli. Rivers I like. I think he could do some damage throwing the obviously Jenkins will probably lock down Allen, but then you got Williams and like I said, the tight end. That's where I think you're going to make the hay on Sunday with the Chargers is the tight end position. You can have both of them, but I definitely like Hunter Henry a little bit more than Gates. Any other comments on this game, guys?
I'm curious to know, Joe and Paulie, are you guys more concerned with the fantasy outcome of this game or the actual outcome of this game? Being that you're both 0-4, I do want to throw that out there.
I'd rather have the Chargers lose because I want Saquon Barkley. So
there it is. Okay.
That's who I want. I don't know. I know they have Melvin Gordon, but I get rid of him.
That's the real answer.
Cut him. All right. But to be honest with you, I see the Chargers winning this game because it just seems like it would be appropriate for the Chargers to go into New York and beat Eli, and everybody go crazy because Eli's 0-5. You know what I'm saying? Like,
there's a little bit of narrative here. The two teams, like the Chargers drafted Eli and then they traded him. So
I don't think Eli's ever beaten Rivers either.
That may or may not be in my article. I don't know. I might have to read it.
So, anyways, all right. So, let's move on to the next game. We have the surprising Carolina Panthers, who went up and beat New England Patriots last week, taking on the surprising Detroit Lions in Detroit. Paulie, what you got?
This is a tough game. You know, like, I wish I could tell you with definitive authority what that, you know, XYZ is going to happen here, but I don't have a great read just yet. We got the Lions 2-point favorites at home. It opened at 3. It dipped down. That's a little interesting. If it continues to move towards Carolina, I think I'm going to hop on some Carolina guys. And then the over-under opened at 43.5. It's at 44. Kind of similar to the Giants game right here. It's like in that middle plateau for points where, you know, it's not like in the 39-40, but it's not up close to 50. These are the games that are interesting to me. You know, like Vegas could be wrong and this could turn into a shootout, you know, or the flip. So I like to try and dig in on these games and form an opinion. Right now, I don't know. You know, I don't think the Lions are going to be able to run the ball here against Carolina. No one really has been able to. So that means Matt Stafford going to be airing the ball out. I think this might be a spot for Marvin Jones to show up. And Golden Tate they almost run the ball through Golden Tate on short passes. So those would be the two guys I'd be interested in, Jones and Tate. At the beginning of the week, I was thinking about Stafford, but he's kind of fallen down my list here. I think the only way he would, you know, pay off is if they fall way behind. Then on Carolina side, you know, I'm not going to fall for the trap. You know, New England's defense might be the worst in football right now, making Carolina look like superstars. But prior to last week, Carolina was looking terrible. And I have a lot of respect for this Detroit defense. They held down Minnesota last week, who had just been going bonkers. And, you know, they've been very, very good all year so far. They've got an elite cornerback who I think will take Benjamin out. And then Quandre Diggs has been playing pretty well at the slot D-back here. So, you know, I don't know if any of the Carolina pass catchers really excite me here. The only guy that's really in play is McCaffrey. I think the New England focused on taking him out last week, and they were pretty successful with that. But I don't think you'll see Carolina go to that type of game plan, and I think that's where the Lions will go to that type of game plan. And I think that's where Carolina will move the ball a lot in this game. So Christian McCaffrey, prefer him on DK, but I think he's viable on FanDuel as well. But that's really it for me. And if you're on FanDuel, I think Matt Prater is in play here as well, the kicker.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Matt, just to let you know, Paulie has an affinity for Christian McCaffrey. His baseball counterpart is Cargo. He loves Cargo. So he always is talking about them. So we let him do that. And we it's true. It's a good thing. You know, I will say this, though. Jonathan Stewart has been running the ball a little bit more in the games over McCaffrey. But anyways, Matt, what do you got on this game?
I mean, it's interesting that he mentioned McCaffrey, because I actually do really like McCaffrey. He's 6,200 on FanDuel.
Smart guy.
Yeah, he has 29 targets so far this season. That's more than any other Panther.
Yeah.
He's a running back, but he's getting the most passes. I think they're going to have to do that. The Lions have Slay, and their Lions safeties are playing out of their mind right now. So
yep.
There's not a whole lot you can do against their defense. You can run a little more than you can pass, but it's not like, outside of Newton and McCaffrey, it's not like they're getting much of a running game. I know Stewart's still kind of bowling through every once in a while, but I really do like McCaffrey. Devin Funchess, I like him every week, but I hate him this week because Slay's going to be all over him. And Benjamin's all banged up, so I feel like he's your best option. And for that reason, I don't love Newton. On the other side, I would like Jones, except it looks like I was just looking at, let's see, Seymour's going to be covering him probably most of the game. So Tate's going to get Bradbury, and Bradbury's been playing worse. Also, Tate has 32 targets, which is by far the most on the team. He's got 219 yards most. He's one touchdown less than Jones, but Jones is the red zone target. But I think they're going to. I think Stafford's going to have to stay away from Jones. He's probably going to have to go to Tate and probably T.J. Jones a little more than he wants to. So I kind of like Tate. I don't really like anybody against the Panthers, but I kind of like Tate. I'm fading the Lions' run game. I do like the kickers. I think they're going to get a lot of opportunities to kick the ball. I think that's a good idea. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Matt Prater in the dome. It's automatic.
Exactly. That's a good call. And yeah, both defenses. I kind of like the Lions defense. I mean, yeah, McCaffrey might have a good game, but that's probably it. So that's going to be interesting too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah. Before we get to Gady, I just want to say hello to the Oracle gracing us with his presence. Gautzab. Hello, Gautzab. Good seeing you again. Gady, what you got?
Yeah, on the Carolina side, man, it's a total trap, and I think a lot of inexperienced players are going to fall for it because you saw what they did last week. Oh, Patriots and the Lions suck. Well, the Lions don't suck, man. Their defense has been awesome.
Yeah,
I'm not interested in anybody. You guys can have McCaffrey. I don't want anything to do with him. I'm not falling for that shit again. On the other side, I don't love a whole lot either, man. I don't even know what we're talking about now.
I'm doing the Brady Bunch thing, where they look down at the boxes. I'm looking down at Gady right now. You see?
Our boxes are different.
You see, Paulie look down and you look down at Matt, Cam, the Brady Bunch was a show back in the 70s. It paired a woman and a man who were at a previous marriage, and they each came in with 3 kids. So there was 6 of them, thus the Brady Bunch. And they had Alice, who was the maid, and she was white, all right? So it was totally ahead of its time. Okay, Cam, are you still with? Okay, good. He's still there. All right, good. All right.
If you're wondering, Matt, Cam is our super genius intern. He's in medical school and working with us. He read some really good articles. And
he's like, seriously, I think he was born like 2007. No, that means I love him. If I pick on you, that means I love you.
Yeah, it's a loving pick.
It's like a big brother, little brother, some kind of thing, like he's so. He was born the year I graduated high school, so it's like it really make me feel old. So anyway, where are we? Gady, are you done?
Did I ever start? I don't know.
No, you did. You were talking about McCaffrey.
You said no McCaffrey.
Yeah, to hell with McCaffrey. I like Tate, maybe a little bit of Jones. I would like to monitor Abdullah and see what happens this week. He had 23 touches last week. He's 4,700 on DraftKings. Maybe a little interest there as a flex play. Let's go ahead and move on because this one's dead. It's over. Nobody's listening to me right now. Let's go. We're good. Let's go on.
Yeah, I love it. Cam, I love you. I love it. Cam texting the thing. I know what that is, you cuck. Like, what's a cuck? Anyways, is that some Wisconsin like bad word or something like cuck? All right. Anyways,
I'll tell you after the show what it is.
Oh, please! I hope so. I mean, I've heard of cuckold. I know what that is.
Looks like the letter's wrong there. So.
Seriously, is it really? Maybe I am cuckold. Oh my god! Wow, I know what a cuckold is. Okay, trust me. Okay. Jesus Christ! Oh my god! You're too old. That's what Cameron said. Love it. We're getting off the rails.
We've gone totally off the rails.
Personally, I think this game is. I agree with Paulie when it comes to Cam, like not being Cam Newton, like being like totally going off. last week, and I want to see if Winston goes off tomorrow night. That even says don't play Cam even more because they're playing the Patriots, and Winston goes off too. It's just like just don't do it. I think the Detroit defense is better than Gautzab says, but I wouldn't play them either. And I'm not. Abdullah has been running the ball more. He's been getting at least 20 touches a game, so I like that. But I just don't like him this week. And maybe a little bit of theoretic if they ever get him involved. Please, my seasonal teams would like it. And this game is, like you said, pretty much a kickoff. Maybe Prater. I like the Prater call. Prater might be our all-in of the week. FanDuel. We're all in on Prater, and we're good. You know what I mean? And word of the day is cuck. We have our title. We have our title. CK would be week 5. Cuck. All right. Anyway, next game, Baltimore Ravens traveling to Oaktown to take on Marshawn Lynch and the Oakland Raiders. Paulie D, what do you got?
This is another tough one. Who's starting for the Raiders? What's that guy's name? He used to be on the Bills.
EJ Manuel.
EJ Manuel, back from the dead. No one thought we'd ever see him again, and he's back in our lives. I think he's going to have a real tough time with this Baltimore defense. I think we see a very, very low-scoring game here. Over-under's at 39, opened at 40. It's already creeping down into that never land. And the spread is Oakland favored by 2.5. They're the home team, so they usually get about 3. So this game's really a pick-em. And I think we just see a lot of ugliness here. Low scoring, not very exciting on the offensive side. I think on the Baltimore side, I think Jeremy Maclin will be in play here. If Oakland gets a lead, we've seen basically every team pass on the Raiders this year. So I like Jeremy Maclin from Baltimore side. And I think Javorius Allen, if you're playing on DK, is in play as well. He's been getting a lot of targets out of the backfield. He's splitting the carries, but he seems to be the lead back in that backfield. And then on the Raiders side, I mean, it's just going to be the tight end Cook for me. EJ Manuel, I don't expect much out of him. Is Crabtree going to be playing this week? Do we know yet? Is he on the injury?
We don't know yet.
We don't know. If he doesn't play, I think that would make Amari Cooper interesting. I said that last week, and it was the absolute worst call of the year. But there's a chance Baltimore's leading this game with EJ Manuel in the center. So if the Raiders are forced to pass a lot, I think it'd be a lot of Cooper if Crabtree's out, and if Crabtree's in, I think it's going to be a lot to Cook. So we saw the Jaguars throw 3 touchdowns to Mercedes Lewis against Baltimore. So Cook would be the only guy I have interest in. But more than likely, none of the players on these teams are going to make my roster.
Yeah. Okay. Matty?
Yeah, I mean, I might like Marshawn Lynch because the Ravens haven't been able to stop the run, which is kind of surprising. I mean, they looked pretty good the first week, but they've been freaking terrible since then. They've been getting run over. I don't love Lynch. He's been okay. Like you said, EJ Manuel's manning the ship for the Raiders right now. It makes me really nervous. I don't like Cooper's catching. I was just looking at this morning because somebody was arguing with me about whether or not Cooper was a. I'm sorry. Yeah. Amari Cooper was a good wide receiver compared to Crabtree. And I looked at Cooper's targets versus his receptions. He's catching like 30% of his targets.
Yeah,
that's horrendous.
It's terrible.
I'm not touching.
Really terrible. Yep.
I'm not touching him. Like, he can't catch. I don't even know how he's even getting a paycheck. I could probably catch 30% of the passes.
Yeah, it's rough. It's interesting though. You say Marshawn Lynch, like they may be forced to lean on him more. I didn't really think of that, but that makes sense.
I think they are, and then you hit on this. I think Manuel is going to be uncomfortable, and I think he's going to go to Jared Cook a lot. I think Cook's going to get a lot of targets. I think he's going to be a sneaky good play. He's 5,300 on FanDuel. I think I kind of like him at tight end. I'm going to use him a few times. On the Raiders side, typically there isn't much to like over the last couple of weeks. But this could be based on what we've seen the last couple of weeks, this could be the game where Flacco maybe starts to wake up a little bit. He starts finding his receivers. He doesn't have much in terms of receivers. I guess Macklin has a decent game. Wallace looked pretty good last week. In terms of running backs, I don't know what they're doing with Collins. Like, it seems like they're trying to get him to run the ball, but they're also nervous because he keeps fumbling. But Collins had 9 rushes in the last 2 weeks and 80 yards. That's a pretty good rate.
Yep.
He's 5,700 on FanDuel. That could be a cheap steal. So I kind of like Alex Collins a little bit. I'm probably going to play him in a couple of GPPs. And then, I don't know, Ravens have a good field goal kicker.
Yep.
Up Tucker.
We're getting a lot of kicker recommendations.
I promise, guys, the next game is going to be way more to talk about. Gatey, what do you got?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of anything new to add. I did actually like Lynch a lot, just because I feel like he's got to get at least 20 touches in this game. Not that he's going to do anything with them necessarily, but he's going to get the ball. Oh, Emmanuel's bad, dude. He's awful. I do like the Cook call from you guys. Baltimore's, that's the only thing they struggle with is running backs and tight ends so far. But then on the other side, I mean, yeah, Flacco should play well, but he sucks, so we're not going there. Buck Allen, yeah, maybe a little bit. Macklin, I don't know, because Flacco throws him the ball. I did see earlier this week about snap count last week, and Collins got a ton of snaps compared to the other 2 running backs. So I do like the Collins call for a GPP, but pretty much guaranteed I'm not using any of these guys and not even sniffing these guys in cash, man.
All right, good. Yeah, for me, at least for the first few weeks of the season, I will say that my Amari Cooper call has gone through. I said that he's going to be the most overrated guy and not to draft him in your seasonal leagues, at least where he was going. And I totally just been bad besides the first week when he could have had like at least 2 touchdowns and he dropped 3 in the end zone in a row. So, it's just so funny and people think he's an elite. So anyways, it's funny. I don't really have much else to add except for I do like the Ravens defense in this game. I like maybe a little bit of the Raiders defense, not much, but Ravens defense definitely. And Jared Cook has been like the talk of tight ends for like 3 of 4 or 5 weeks this season. That shows you how tight end is this year. So, but he's produced. I mean, we're even talking about Austin Seferian-Jenkins as a tight end, as a viable tight end. So, obviously if it works, I like Jared Cook a little bit as a salary relief, but I am not in this. Oh, look at this. Flacco has 601 passing yards total this year. Okay. That's not good. So, that's not good. And games versus Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Jacksonville. Well, Jacksonville's pretty tough. So anyways, though, yeah, this game, I hope the Ravens win. Can't be bad if the Raiders ever lose. So that always pisses off the Raider fans because they are all like, this is their year and everything, and hasn't gone so right, has it?
It's not working
out just yet. You know what I mean? Chiefs.
Maybe EJ gives them a spark.
And they still haven't played the Chiefs. So I played Chiefs twice. So anyways, let's move on to obviously it's going to be the highlight game of the week. This is going to be where obviously you're going to see Joe Buck and Troy Aikman call it for the 70,000th time, because every time there's a freaking Cowboys game and it has any bit of relevance at all, why don't we just send Joe Buck and freaking Troy Aikman down there so they can talk about the damn Cowboys, because they think all of America cares about the Cowboys. Guess what? We don't. Anyways, Jesus Christ. Can't believe it. Like every single time. It's like literally Joe Buck and Troy Aikman should just be the NFC East Fox reporters, because that's all they do. All right? It's just like all the NFC East. All right?
Man,
somebody just
upset.
Oof. Story just hit a home run. It's 8-6.
That back-to-back?
No. I think
Arenado just hit one too.
Ooh, yeah, it's 8-7. No, no, Cargo hit one or somebody. It's 8-7.
Arenado and Story.
Yep. All right. But by the way, Wisco, I do like Romo on the mic. Romo is freaking on the mic. Anyways, let's get to this game. Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay Packers, taking on Ezekiel Elliott and the Dallas Cowboys. Paulie D, what do you got?
This is definitely going to be a popular game. It's the only one with an over-under in the 50s. Right now it's at 52.5. That's where it opened. And we got Dallas as a slight home favorite. They opened at 2.5. It's down to 3. I think that game's going to come in down closer to a pick 'em. I've really not been that impressed with Dallas this year. They looked all right versus the Rams, but, the Rams seem to be similar to the Patriots. They're like an offensive juggernaut, and their defense hasn't really caught up. So I don't know how good I expect, the Cowboys to do here. I guess Zeke is a fine play. Looking back over the last few games, over the last few years, he's done well against the Packers. So he's in play. I just like other running backs on the slate better. I think Dez should get a touchdown here finally. He burned a lot of people last week. So I'm totally good with going to him. He's done really well against the Packers as well. I think a Dak stack could do well on this slate. Dak has actually looked pretty decent lately. He was struggling early, but last few games he's gotten his accuracy in line here, and he's been throwing for touchdowns. So I think Dak and Dez stack is in play here. On the Green Bay side, if you want to pay all the way up for Aaron Rodgers, go ahead. I'll never pay that much for a quarterback. I do expect most of the touchdowns to go through Aaron Rodgers now that it looks like their third-string running back, Aaron Jones, is going to be getting the start here. Didn't look too bad against the Bears, but I don't think he'll have too much impact in this game. I think he's more of a running back than a pass-catching back. So, I think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers in the air. I like the Green Bay pass catchers here. Definitely like Randall Cobb. And not sure if Adams will be playing. He's in that concussion protocol. If he's out, that just, makes my love for Cobb and Nelson, Jordy, that much more. And I think you might even want to sprinkle in some Geronimo if Adams doesn't play. But I don't know if this game's going to be as high scoring as the spread is telling us right now. Obviously, it's the highest on the slate, so you got to give this game some attention. For me right now, Randall Cobb is probably a guy I'm going to be locking in. And on the Cowboys side, I like Dak and Dez the most.
All right. Okay. For sure. Maddie, what do you got?
We're agreeing on a lot. I do like the Packers pass game this game. Well, honestly, I like the Packers pass game.
Yeah, every week.
I mean, let's be honest. Aaron Rodgers is one of the best fantasy quarterbacks you're going to have. He's in elite status. Jordy Nelson, elite status. He's got 5 touchdowns in 4 games. And that's only on 24 targets. He doesn't even have the most targets. He's like third or fourth in targets. He's got the most touchdowns. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
I like the Cobb call because of the Adams injury. I didn't even think about Geronimo. I just wrote that down because I want to think about that for my article now. So I might steal that.
Go for it.
I keep liking Martellus Bennett at tight end because he's getting a ton of targets, but he doesn't do anything with the ball. He gets thrown the ball and then falls down. So he's been kind of worthless. But yeah, I do like the Packers pass game. I want to like Dallas's pass game. I'm hesitating a little bit because I'm realizing that the Packers defense are actually top 5 pass defense right now. That being said, if you look at Dak's last 4 games, he's faced 4 of the top 15 pass defenses, and he's averaging over 20 FanDuel points a game. That's pretty good. And he keeps getting better and better. He started out 17.12 against the Giants, and he climbed up to 23.58 against the Rams. He did well against the Cardinals. He did well against the Broncos. That seems like a pretty good play. I mean, for 7,700 on FanDuel, I feel like you're getting a deal with him. Yeah. I do agree that Dez should be due for a good game. I mean, he's had a tough corner. Now Packers don't really have any, corners that are going to lock him down, so he could blow up.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what Elliott's going to do. He's been kind of up and down a little bit, although I guess he looked pretty good last week.
Yeah.
But I think this might be a shootout, so it's going to be interesting to see if Elliott even gets a ton of handoffs. I think the Cowboys have to go up early, and I just don't see that happening. And even if they do go up early, they're going to have to maintain the lead, and against Rodgers, that's probably not likely. So, I'm loving the pass game. I mean, you can grab a lot of wide receivers from this game, like both quarterbacks, hate the defenses. I guess for kickers, if you like extra points, which typically sucks. Yeah. I'm all over the wide receivers and quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, there's, I'd say, probably a 50-60% chance that Dallas is playing from behind, and that could really reduce Elliott's, usage this week.
Yeah, that's what I worry about with him this week.
Yep. Good point.
All right, Gady.
Yeah, I hate to say this, but we are all agreeing on a lot. But this is cash game gold right here. This game, I mean, this is where everybody's going to be. You got guys you can afford here, outside of Rodgers. On the Dallas side, I'm a little higher on Zeke than you guys are, I think. I'm not sure I'm going to play him. He doesn't have a ton of upside at his price, but I think his floor is pretty safe for cash. If you want to go that route, I think that's fine. He's been running a lot of routes this year, so I agree. I think they are going to play from behind, but he's still going to be out there, and he's going to get some looks. He's going to get some targets. I really like Dak. Both sites on this one. I feel like you're getting them at a pretty cheap price with what we think is going to happen in this game. So I think he's a great play. I love Dez on DraftKings. He's actually cheaper than Randall Cobb. And on FanDuel, he's way more expensive. So I'm not playing him on FanDuel at 7,800, but at 65 on DK, less than Randall Cobb. That just doesn't seem right to me. So for cash games, I think you just scoop that up. Green Bay side, I think the biggest thing with this being a late game, I'm not sure if we're even going to know about Devontae Adams in time. I hope we do, because that changes things a lot. I mean, I'm expecting him to be out because he died last week. I mean,
that was so brutal, that hit.
He shouldn't be on the field this week, right? I mean,
he may actually be dead now.
He's one of the toughest guys on the planet because he's freaking dead, man. I wish him the best, though, for real. So with him being out, Cobb was I'm expecting him to be out. Cobb's my lock, man, on every site. I think he's 66 on FanDuel. I mean, I'll take that all day.
Yep.
The running back situation is interesting. I think it was Williams or whoever the hell that guy is. It's supposed to be second string. I think he practiced today. Because I was looking at Jones, and he did all right. And Dallas gets shredded by guys running it. They get shredded by running backs out of the backfield. Like, okay, well, if Williams is out, this Jones guy's all right. And then DK just shoves it in our ass and breaks it off by putting these guys both over 5K. So you're going to pay 5K for something you have no idea about? I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. Thanks, DraftKings. But yeah, I mean, if you could afford Rodgers, do that. But I don't pay that much for a quarterback. But yeah, Cobb's my dude for sure. I'll be locking him in all my cash games, both sides.
What about Rodgers on DraftKings for cash? Is he still priced out over there?
He's 8,100.
Yeah,
and you can get Dak at 68. And I was looking at the playoff game last year. Rodgers threw for 355 and 2 touchdowns. And then you had Dak over 300 with 3 touchdowns. So,
yeah, with the discount, I hear you.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I'll probably go to Dak probably as my cash quarterback on both sides. Honestly, I like his price both ways. I agree.
All right. So my thing is I want to follow this. I think the biggest key to this game is if Sean Lee plays or not. Like, he was held out of practice today. If Sean Lee doesn't play, that makes the running back, if Jones is the starter, if Williams is out, I'm hoping Williams is out. I'm hoping Williams is out, because I don't think Ty's going to play. I'm hoping Sean Lee is out. If those 3 things are out, Jones makes a good play on FanDuel for 5,900. He rushed for 49 yards on 13 carries, and he's going to get the passing downs now. So I just think that, at his price on FanDuel, I think it's a little bit better. On DraftKings, they priced him up a little bit. Yeah, that's why I didn't like him. So, but I agree with you what you said on Dez. I'm totally in agreement with that. And, Zeke, I think he's like, if you look at his price, to me, if I'm paying up at running back, it's not going to be for Zeke this week. It's going to be for Bell. Like, I know we're not talking about that game, but it's going to be for Bell. Like, if I'm, or Gurley, you're talking about, that are probably in better situations, in better game script situations too, that you're just, and then you're not even thinking about Hunt or McCoy. So I just think that Zeke, to me, I'm going to lay off him, and I think he's going to be popular too, just because it's Zeke and it's the Cowboys.
Yep. He's definitely going to be real popular.
So, and I don't know. I'm not saying that, like, look, he burned me last week, but I still don't think the process of the decision was wrong. I mean, Dalvin Cook had a touchdown before he got hurt. So, I mean, you never know what would have happened. Yeah. But
and switching him to Gurley was a good move. Like,
and when Gurley did fine. Yeah. So, but yeah, so I just think this game, Rodgers, obviously you can play him. I know what you say by don't pay up, but in some ways, in the cash game scheme of things, it's kind of like, I feel like in some ways, sometimes, like there might be Kershaw on the slate for cash or Scherzer or somebody on the slate for cash. And everybody's like, well, let's go to this other guy because this other guy's got a better matchup. But then, obviously the cash guy, the more stable guy always comes through, So I feel like that might be the case maybe on Sunday, like trying to overthink things at quarterback. But I do like Dak as a cash game quarterback because his floor, I think, is great on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, if you play Rodgers on FanDuel, like, you're not getting good players at other positions. You know what I mean? Like, you can't pair two high-end running backs with them at all.
Or, I mean, I guess you could get Bell with him, but then you'd really have to start.
Yeah, then you're getting like 2 5K receivers that aren't very good. Like the rest of your team really gets hurt by paying up on FanDuel for $9,500 for Aaron Rodgers.
I just don't even know on either side. If you're not playing one of those guys in cash, who are you playing?
And for quarterback?
At quarterback.
Let's see here. Let me get these up there. Matt, you got one you'd play besides them, Matt?
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson? On the Rams? On the road?
I don't think Wilson.
Wilson's priced ahead of he's on top of Dak on DraftKings.
Yeah, I mean, I don't play cash, so I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm just throwing out quarterbacks that I think will do well this weekend.
Philip Rivers?
No.
Rivers?
Of course, you say
Russell Wilson's
Palmer,
expensive on both sides.
I'm really not that much of a homer of the Chargers. I'm really not.
I know. I'm kidding.
I'm really not that much of a homer. I'm just like, I'm looking at his matchup. Like, what about Dalton
against Buffalo?
No, you don't play. Don't play quarterbacks or receivers against Buffalo or Jacksonville.
All right, so you just learned that last week because they shut down. All right, no, I see it.
Look at the stats for the whole season. Jacksonville hasn't allowed somebody to get 65 receiving yards yet. Buffalo's given up 1 touchdown passing.
All right.
Boom.
You heard it here first, Jason Gady.
Don't do it.
That'll be it, guys. That wraps up the Wise Take. No, I'm just kidding. So any questions, though? We are towards the end. We've been through all. Fuego's saying Palmer. I don't mind Palmer. I just think that he's going to get, like, absolutely bludgeoned like 10 times and might not get out of the game. That's my problem with this week. You know what I mean? Like that. You saw what the Dallas D-line did against him 2 weeks ago, and now he's going to go on the road against Philly. I mean, Matt, what do you think? I mean, you're an Eagles fan. I mean, their D-line is their strength because their corners is the absolute worst. So
yeah, that's it. I mean, and they don't have much of a running game right now. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if I'm Philly,
I mean,
I'm constantly rushing at him, constantly.
Yeah.
Because it's throw it to Ellington, throw it to Fitz, or just throw the ball up in the air. I mean, they don't have many options. Mm-hmm. I mean,
if John Brown's healthy, that's a decent receiver as well. And you saw like the San Diego secondary receivers torched the Eagles last week.
That's the thing. They need to give him time.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, I think that they're going to double Fitz and make sure they don't do any of those short passes and then just try and get to him. Like, I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, Palmer even kind of struggled against the Colts.
Here's the thing about Palmer. He hasn't thrown more than one touchdown pass. He hasn't thrown more than one touchdown pass any game, I don't think, or two at the most. Like, that's not very good for Cash.
He threw two against Dallas. That's the best game.
He is throwing 300 yards a game and throwing like 40 to 50 times a game, too.
Okay, his price is $7,200. He
also has 5 picks and a fumble.
He's only gone close to 3x once this year.
Yeah, just pay $500 more and get Dak. Call it good.
Yeah,
I think we're trying to find somebody else, right? We're not saying.
I just can't.
It's not a bad idea, but for GPP, for Cash.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think on DraftKings, Palmer's in play. Like you get the bonus for the 300 yards, which he's been pretty consistent with. He's probably going to be trailing, so game script's in his favor. And, 2 touchdowns, 300 yards, 350 yards. Like, I think that's fine for Cash. And he can get 3. They're probably not going to run for a touchdown. So if they score 3 or 4 touchdowns, they're going to have to come through the air. Just because he hasn't thrown 3 yet doesn't mean he won't.
True.
Yeah.
And this is the set of DBs that you might get 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, this is the worst. This is the worst set of DBs. Yeah. How many touchdowns did Rivers throw last week?
He's threw 2.
2?
Yeah.
And he threw for 350.
Yeah, I mean, he threw this one bomb to Tyrell Williams. It was so sweet. It really was. Yeah. It really was sweet. It was one play. The play was over. I just think that the thing about this game is that of Brown, J.J. Nelson, and Brown are going to catch the bomb. That's the problem.
Yeah, pairing them up is tough.
Finding which one is going to actually do it is, I think, is going to be the key. And if you hit that one, you might win on Sunday. Do we have any questions? Anybody? Any questions?
And just one quick plug. I'd rather have Ellington than Palmer.
I agree. Ellington's a great price, especially on DK, catching all those balls. I mean, what is he 20 targets?
Is he? He was 3,800 last week. He was like free square.
He's really cheap.
I'm checking.
He's not that cheap. He's 54 now.
Oh. Ooh, that's rough. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I loved him last week.
No. That was FanDuel. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one.
He's
even
46.
54.
He's 46.
I was like, wait, that doesn't make sense.
He's 46. 54. 46 on DraftKings.
Yeah,
it's not bad, but it's not.
Yeah. Not must play.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not a must play, but it's still a good play.
And if 9 balls last week, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, going forward, you got to be looking at guys like that. Alvin Kamara, he's on a bye week this week, but he's gonna be catching passes all year.
It felt like that's all they were trying to do was throw him the ball last week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, anybody else got anything in the chat? Anybody else got any comments? Anything? I'm looking. We're getting the thoughts on McCown, Kaiser, Hoyer, or Brissett. Paulie.
Hoyer, McCown, Brissett.
Kaiser or Kaiser?
I really like McCown and Hoyer for their price and the matchups. And both those guys, you stack up with their receivers or tight end. So, like McCown, I'd be stacking up with Austin Seferian-Jenkins. You got a lot of money left over for the rest of your team, and they're going against the Browns. Little revenge narrative for Hoyer. I mean, for McCown. And, like the Jets have actually looked decent on offense the last few weeks. And against this Browns team, they could have their best week of the year. It's definitely a pair that I'll be looking at. And then McCown and San Francisco receiver, not named Garcon, because you figure Patrick Peterson's going to be locking him down. That's a super, super cheap stack. And I like that one as well because, I don't think – I'm sorry, not Patrick Peterson, but
Vontae Davis.
Vontae Davis, yes. Yeah, I don't think the Colts' pass defense is all that great outside of that. So I could see, like a Marquise Goodwin catching a bomb here and that pairing pay off as well. So I like them both. I prefer the McCown and Austin Seferian-Jenkins. But that I've been talking to people about that all week. Like, is this really in play? Like, am I gonna? But you can get some really nice players at the rest of the positions by going there. So it's definitely something to consider.
All right. Maddie, what do you got between those four?
I like Brissett.
All right.
I mean, if you look at how he, granted, 2 of the touchdowns were rushing touchdowns, but he had a pretty good game against Cleveland. And I don't want to say Cleveland's the same as San Francisco, but Cleveland's better at the run than the pass. They're terrible at the pass. And Brissett had over 27 points with FanDuel. That's pretty fantastic. 700,000 though, it's kind of pricey. But I don't know. I mean, he's got plenty of receivers he could be hitting too. So I of the 4, I like him the most.
All right. Jason.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that. I like Brissett the most here, especially with the rushing ability too. Those are kind of interesting games, though. You look at, I mean, nobody cares about the Jets and the Browns. Nobody cares about the Niners and the Colts. But I think there's a lot of guys you can look at in these games for our rosters. So it's something that we can't overlook. Like you said, Seferian-Jenkins should be a really popular play this week, especially on DK's 3,500. And Cleveland just gets torched. But yeah, I mean, I kind of like Hoyer, but being a Niners fan, I hate him. So yeah, Brissett's the way to go for me. But I do like these games, and like I said, I mean, I think there's guys we need to be paying attention to here.
Yeah, there is a famous line in Sopranos that sometimes there's money in shit. And and it's the truth. This of those 4, obviously I'm not looking at Kaiser, and I'm not looking at let me see, there was 4 of them. I like Hoyer and I like McCown. Brissett maybe a little bit because I don't think that the Niners secondary is that good. I like T.Y. Hilton on Sunday too. I think he's a good play. People won't be looking at him. But McCown's got a great narrative this week. Kaiser, I'm off of. He throws too many interceptions. I like the Jets D, to be honest with you. And Hoyer, obviously, he can always go up there. I don't know if Vontae Davis is going to be shadowing Garcon or not. They might just stick to a side, but assume he did. So obviously, you're off of Garcon. So Carlos Hyde maybe on Sunday. Let's see. Any other questions I'm seeing here? I don't see any other. Let me see here. Any other questions? Cam, do you have any other questions? I know you always have questions. I want to make sure Cam doesn't have any questions. But anyways, guys, it's been fun. And as you see, Matt, this is how we do things here at Wise Take. We did it during baseball season, and we obviously basketball season starting up here in about. We have 13 days left. So it's going to be 13 so much sweet days, and then it's going to be.
Dude, basketball season started already, man. Preseason
I know you want.
It's like regular season, man.
From our perspective, it definitely started.
I know. I as you guys know, as Matt, if they don't know, I'm not a basketball guy. I'm just going to be hosting for basketball, so I'm going to be having my snide comments and my sarcastic wit and no takes. And who knows? Maybe I'll win some money because these degenerates will get me to play. So, anyways, but I can already tell you it's going to be the Cavs and the Warriors in the finals. That's why we don't need to play basketball. So, anyways, Paulie, Jason, I had a great time too. Obviously, I'm here in Philly, believe it or not, just on vacation or a little vacation here with the family, visiting some friends. So. I'm glad that I could come on and meet Matt, and obviously Paulie and Slim could meet Matt, and we had a good time here. So any last words, guys?
Oh, man, good luck this week, Matt. Nice to meet you, man. Glad to have you, and let's do some work. Catch us on Saturday for the final takes. I think it's going to be a good week.
Yes. Make paper, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I wish you guys all the best. It was great to meet you guys. Love to do this again. This is awesome. Appreciate it.
Yeah. We'll try and get you on again. I'm sure CK is in the back either blow drying or combing his hair. So he
just letting it down.
He is cool. He is definitely enjoying himself in the back and answering all your questions. So, guys, make sure you join us on the Y stream at 2:30 Eastern time on Saturday. It will be Paulie and it will be my man CK in the back, the Heartbreak Kid. And we also have our man Cash and DFS, Josh, will be on it. And I will be chilling, but you will have another edition of After Hours with Audie on Saturday night. So that is a separate podcast that I will do on Saturday night, Matt. And it's Audie Fulton is my alter ego. So
I'll be listening.
Anyways, yes, it's a fun little thing. So anyways, for Paulie, for Matt, for Jason, Mr. Gady, I'm Patio Joe, and we are out.
Peace.
Yeah.